Hello everybody, Alfredo here, live on LinkedIn and other platforms very soon. I am going to do this kind of trainings here, training sessions here on LinkedIn and other platforms very often because I want to use pretty much the same methodology, the same framework that I use with my clients here online. And what is this training framework, this methodology that I'm telling you, that I'm talking about? I am going to. It's a new methodology that allow us to create and deliver content with minimum, sometimes no preparation. This is responsive training. This is a training which is adaptive and it's not scripted, but it relies on the trainer's expertise in business management, business processes, and the applications so that we can respond to training essentially as we go. This is not something that I invented, although together with my team, we adopted this framework, adopted and adapted to business applications. The overall idea about responsive teaching, responsive training is a very well known framework in education, and it's used successfully by teachers who work with children with special needs, for which the typical structured and scripted approach to training, which is based on a standardized curriculum, doesn't really work. It's not really effective. So we adapted this training framework to business applications. And so it's about management consulting, it's about solution design, and eventually training and adoption. You will see it's more about coaching than training. So to show you that this works, for the next few months, I will go live here on LinkedIn very often, sometimes alone, sometimes with my collaborators, CE, finance and operations, data analysis, and even AI experts who work with me. And I will show you how we can pretty much make training as we go. So you ask me a question, how does this work? How do I do X? My client has got a problem. How can we do that in Business Central? And I will show you that we can pretty much put together the training as we go. It's going to be for Business Central primarily, but we will soon have sessions for finance and operations, customer engagement apps, Power Platform, Power BI, and any other business application, including Copilot. So today is about, you are probably using the Excel Dynamics plugin wrong, probably, because it is not used. Some of you probably use it correctly. So I was having this conversation with a client of mine the other day who was waiting for their Microsoft partner to deliver a rather complex dashboard in Power BI. And don't get me wrong, their solution design, their dashboard project, it's an excellent project. And I know the Microsoft partner, of course, they are experts in what they do, and so no doubt that this upcoming Power BI dashboard would work. It will work exceptionally well. The problem is the team needs reports now, and the dashboard will be ready in a few months. What do we do instead? There is a lot really that we can do in Business Central as we wait for this new dashboard, and we can use the Excel plugin, but we must use it in a way which is not very not well known, because this is a very powerful plugin. But most consultants and most users only use, I'd say 10 or 20% of what this plugin can do. So let's jump into my sandbox and let's see how it works. So I have just created this new sandbox, this new demo, so I got pretty much nothing here. So let's look at um, one of the main characteristics of this plugin. Let's look at, I don't know, sales orders. Okay. So I have a sales order, and then from a sales order list, I can get the edit into Excel, which means I can start the spreadsheet. Let me open it. And as I open the spreadsheet, let me log in and I will start sharing. Eventually, I will see the Excel spreadsheet coming through, and so I would just have to sign in and start the essentially working on it. That will allow me to get data in Business Central just by using again the edit in Excel. So perfect for new records, right? Perfect for new order lines, even new sales orders, right? If I use the edit in Excel from here, I will get an edit in Excel and I will start working on it. So let me see if I can get it here right. And I'm going to sign in. There we go. And as I sign in, actually, let me share because I think I'm sharing the wrong place. So, browser extension, sales order Excel. There we go. Right. So, in this case, you can see this is the edit in Excel as we know it. Right. I'm getting all the orders here. And so what I would do, I would just add a new one and I would just use the next number series, number 10, right? And I'm going to get the order number and the customer number, and really the rest should really be pretty much the same. I can put an external document number here, and there we go. I can get the Excel plugin to do my essentially to help me get the order through. I'm going to click publish, and if I get any error, I can see the error here. You see a row created in the sales order Excel. You probably don't see the error, but it says you might not enter numbers manually. So it does not let me essentially create a new row because I cannot add numbers manually. So configuration, right? We go back, we change the configuration, we clear the error, we click done. I need to go back to Business Central, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to clear, let me see, sales orders, there we go, now looking at sales orders. The error is clearly about the number series. So how do we find the number series? The number series error is about the new sales order number, right? Therefore, the block, the limitation on the number series is on creation of new orders. What does it mean now? We need to find the sales and receivable setup, which is where the number series for new orders are configured. Number series on sales and receivables set up, and there we go. These are my order number. Business Central is using this number series to automatically create the numbers. And the reason why the Excel told me that I must not add numbers manually is because manual numbers are essentially disabled. So back, we're going to change it to manual numbers enabled. Back to the main page. And now let me go back to the sales order Excel, which is still in error state. I need to refresh to clear the error. Think about it. This edited in Excel file now is almost a new user interface, right? Instead of using Business Central user interface to communicate and to put data into to my system, I use Excel. And you can see I also get insights about fields that are related to other tables. So I'll try again with number 10 here, assuming that I don't have the same number. There we go. and I'm going to get and request a delivery date. There we go. I also got a date fields here. Perfect. And shall we put an external document number, which is essentially the one next to it? And I have lots of columns that are really a bit annoying. But again, that's part of what we're going to learn in a moment. I'm going to publish my data, and hopefully with the error cleared, now you can see I end up with a new sales header in Business Central. So this is data that I have pushed through. Now, I can use another Excel file, or maybe another Excel tab in the same document to add document lines to it. And again, this can get quite complex, but again, we can pretty much input data in Business Central through the edit in Excel. This is what most of us do when we use this plugin. However, I'm going to show you two things that you can do with edit in Excel that is not very well known. One is about making sure that this can be a business as usual process, which means if you need an import tool to get data into Business Central, which is about data that you have offline in spreadsheets, excuse me, then edit in Excel is your tool. You don't have to develop fancy XML imports or maybe CSV imports that are so last decade ago, because as you've seen before, if I try to push data which is not consistent, doesn't really comply with Business Central rules, I get an error straight away. So concept number one, you must absolutely clear your file, your Excel spreadsheet, so that you only see what you really need, because clutter, a busy screen like this one with so many things that I don't need, can be distractive. And the more data we see here which is not relevant to what we do, the higher the risk of making mistakes. So how do we delete data? If we delete columns here, we will get an error because we're breaking the schema of the spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to choose the Design tab, right? And so let me make it full screen so we can see it better. Once I click the design, let me go back one step and show you exactly what I did. It's this part here, this icon. Design, I'm using the design experience. In the design experience, I can do a couple of things. I can choose labels and view and edit labels, bindings, not bound to entity fields, which helps me link one spreadsheet or a table to another. I can add fields and can add another table, which is part of the second part we're going to learn in a moment. But let's first work on fields. And we're not going to add more fields because we have the opposite problem. We must remove fields, columns. So I'm going to click this pencil icon, and now I see all the available fields and the selected fields. These are the fields that show in my spreadsheet. These are the other fields that I don't see, and most of the time you don't really need to bother, because these are, you can see filters, so fields that appear on the table, database table, but you don't really want to use in your spreadsheet because are system-driven fields. So we can hide or collapse this part so we focus on this spreadsheet. So document type might be useful because the same spreadsheet might include quotes, blanket orders, sales returns. However, there is a better way to ensure that I only get orders in this file, and I'll show you in a moment. So I'm going to remove the document type. I want the number. I want the customer number. Absolutely. The customer name, not really at this stage, because again, it's linked to the customer number. Do I need the sell to customer to? Not really. So I'm going to, you can see, start selecting fields all together. I'm using my mouse now, left click, and I keep the shift button on essentially, so I can select more. And now you can see sell to postcode, sell to contacts, no need to remove. Document date, maybe I want document date, but I want it essentially the two to be linked, document date and posting date. But it's not really required. Due date is going to be calculated, but I want the requested delivery date because I want to add it here. I want to keep the external document number. I don't use Shopify. I don't use campaigns and opportunities. So I'm going to remove everything, right? Even the status, because it will be created automatically for me by that's open. All the posting setup are going to be essentially eliminated. There we go. I want to keep the dimensions because I want to use dimensions, at least the two global. And there we go. The rest can pretty much go. I might have to keep the location because if I want to use my warehouse, let's say features, and there we go. Area, compressed payment, transport method, foreign trade, medical insurer name. There we go. Never knew about these fields. There we go. So I ended up now with only a few columns. And if I click update, the system tells me that this action will require a data refresh. So it's not a good idea to have draft lines in this document. We just want to do it before we start working on the spreadsheet. However, the good news is that once we are done with the setup, we can save this file and the columns that we essentially want to see and the columns that we have hidden will stay there. So you can see there we go. Now I only have the few columns that I want to work, that I need. And that really helps me keep my things in order. All right. So if I click done now, I want to show you the second part of what I want to do because I have a filter option. It's called the filter experience. A very funny name, isn't it? So I am filtering now with this table, and it's a very good idea to use this filter because if I use a filter, an Excel filter here, for example, I want to filter only on customer number 1000. You don't see it because the way my application handles screen sharing doesn't show the filter, but you can see I'm essentially using filters here. And so if I use filters here, Excel filters, and I'm trying to push data in BC using this plugin, I will get an error because the system doesn't allow me to work with hidden tables, hidden fields, sorry. And that's the right thing because you might have wrong data which is hidden and you don't see it and you don't want to push data into your application which is hidden because again, of course, for obvious reasons, right? You might end up updating the system with bad data. So the first thing I do, the first thing I see here is the document type, which is the first primary key, the first part of the primary key, document type and document number. Document number must be equal to an order. The filter is already here because I used sales order edit in Excel from a sales order list page, which is essentially a page in Business Central with a default filter. It's taking all the details from most details from the sales header table, but it's filtering only document or type orders. So I can add more filters here if I had, for example, if I work in a specific location and I am responsible for shipping customers' orders from a specific location, now I can pretty much save a filter on location code. The filter that I use here is not going to filter the view. It's going to filter the data set, the data source, which means every time I refresh this spreadsheet, I will only get in my spreadsheet orders with a location code equal to, again, my location, and so on. So I can add more and more filters here so that I can only get what I need in my spreadsheet. I will get it automatically every time I reopen the spreadsheet because I want to save it and keep it. And of course, it will be faster. So I don't need the document type because the document type is already filtered here. So, sorry. So once this is done, the moment I create here a new order, and I'm going to, let's say, start from, nothing stops you from doing something like this, right? And this is going to be, there we go. Right. Oh, I have a kite version. I should have removed it, right? But again, you can see the document date is going to be pretty much the same, right? And the posting date is going to be the same. And this is a, let's say, 3 orders for one day, and the other 4 are for another day. There we go. You can see how I can move quickly. And this is going to be the same external reference number. It's sort of a call out order, right? The customer says, I'm going to place you 6 orders and I want you to deliver, 3 or 4 on a certain day and the rest on other days, right? Again, you can see how flexible I am. I can be here. And everything is, in this case, every order has got the same dimension, doesn't matter, right? And I want to ship everything from my main location. Control T. There we go. So once I am done, I click, I can look out and essentially for my, for my orders, and one by one, essentially, I can publish them. So this is how I can add, more orders, and I can use the edit in Excel. Once this one is saved, and it's saved in my downloads, but if I have the OneDrive plugin, this file will be saved in my OneDrive folder. Then I can reopen it, and when I reopen it, I will just get fresh new data. In addition to that, if I check the settings option, I can see my environment and my companies. So I can switch from Contoso Demo to Contoso Manufacturing, and now I'm going to reload. The plugin is going to reload the data, and now you can see there are changes that will be overwritten. Of course, the changes, the new orders are not in the new company, and so the system is going to give me fresh data. Okay, there we go. So this is the other data. This is the rest that I get. You can see different dimensions, right? Different locations, because you can see it's different from this company to the other. So this is now something that we can use as we go along, because I can reopen this document, refresh the data, create more orders, and essentially keep going. The second thing that I wanted to show you now is that we can combine new tables, multiple tables in the same spreadsheet. So if I click new here, a new tab, and actually I'm going to do this one. This is going to be sales orders, and the new tab is going to be sales lines. And so now from here, I can add essentially I can get into design and now add a new table. And this is where it gets interesting, because now I see here from this list, I see not every uh, not every table, of course, but most of them. And for what I don't have here, I can always go back to BC and download another, essentially, and trigger another edit in Excel. So what I'm doing now, I'm using a sales order line Excel, which is essentially already available as the data entity data source. I'm going to click next. And here, once again, I have all the available fields, and I see that selector fields, I don't have it. I don't have any, because again, I'm not starting from BC, I'm starting from Excel. So you can see here I've got the 3 primary keys. Perfect. So I want to add the first 3, right? I want to add them all. And now I don't want available to promise, I don't want bin number, absolutely. What I want to do, I want to see the item, I want to see the line type. Let me see, because it's an alphabet. The only limitation here is that this list is in alphabetical order. It doesn't really go, it doesn't follow the field number, which is a bit annoying. So we need to find the type, and we need to find the number, the type, which allows me to specify if the sales line is an item, is a general ledger, is a resource, right, is a fixed asset, and so on. Number, of course, it's in this case going to be the item number. It can be general ledger number, resource number, fixed asset number, and so on. I want the quantity only. Oops, let me go back. I lost a few data because I clicked here. I lost a few, so let me do it one second. Let me do it again. We're going to add, and so we want the type quickly. This is a good thing about being live. There we go. Type. I want number and quantity. Okay. I want number and I want quantity. There we go. So unit price, unit price maybe. But again, if I have sales, there we go. Unit price, unit volume. There we go. If I have sales price list, I might not need it. Right. So now I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to click essentially done, and the action required again will ensure, right, that I have no data. And you can see now I have the few columns that I just specified in my second table and here. So you can see that now the data connector shows a sales order and sales order lines, which is essentially the sales order here and sales order line Excel, right? Again, it keeps the spreadsheet in order. And so orders here, sales lines here. I click done. The only thing I need to do now is to refresh. And as I refresh, I will get the existing sales lines in my spreadsheet. And you can see some orders don't have much, other orders have, you can see unit quantity and so on. I can add more filters here to put quantity outstanding, for example, right, and so on, which I mean will help me keep track of what I'm doing. Or at least avoid having things that I don't need to see in the spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use the settings icon and I'm going to change back to my Contoso demo, because now I want to show you that I can add 2 records at a time in this spreadsheet and essentially start working not on record by record, but I can slowly build my orders as I go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a new order, and this is going to be 11, right? And it's going to be for the same customer, and the document date is today, and the posting date is still the same. The customer wants these items next year because it's almost Christmas, and they say they want it by the 8th of January, and it's going to be another reference. Okay, we don't need to change the currency, and the dimensions are the same. They will be anyway updated automatically, and we're shipping from the main location. Now, I can click publish now, and I get a sales order header with no lines. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take note of my sales order number, and now I'm going to I'm moving now into the sales line details now, and I'm going to add essentially the lines. And remember, in Business Central, new lines are always by the 10,000. So we're going to add a few. There we go. 10,000, 20,000, and so on. Don't skip this part because you end up with line 1, 2, 3, and 4. And before you know, once you want to split a line or do something that requires Business Central to insert lines into a document, you will get an error message. No levels are left. You cannot insert a new line, and you're stuck. There's nothing you can do. Right. So what we're going to do now, the customer is going to order, let's say, the entire range here. There we go. Now, I could add a third option here, right? A third file. Sorry, no file. A third tab where I have my item list, my item category, right? Past sales, for example. So I can copy paste items from one place to the other. Much better than a custom, in my opinion, a custom import because of data validation. Now, this is not very sophisticated, but it's out of the box. It's available immediately. Something that your team, your client can use while they wait for your custom import, custom dashboard. It might take weeks or months because the system cannot stop, right? Until we get everything we need, right? It's the agile approach, right? Minimum viable product. Get me a spreadsheet now, and 6 months later, once the interface is ready, we're happy to forget about it, right? And forget about our spreadsheet, and we can use something more sophisticated. Right, there we go. And here it is. Here it's my essentially is my quantity. We have the unit price of 96. We have the unit price of 68. We also have the unit price of 28, and 20 is the same. Actually, on this one, we're going to lower the price, but on this one, unfortunately, we need to go higher. There we go. So what happens now that Business Central has essentially already created a new line in the sales header table? Now we can add a line to the sales line table. Another publish, and there we go, successfully created. So shall we look at what happens in Business Central? Let's see if we can go back and find sales order that ends in 11. A quick refresh, and I should be able to actually see it. There we go. This is my new order. And because we used edit in Excel, you can see the requested delivery date, due date is being calculated correctly. The address, I didn't have to put the address in my spreadsheet, right? Did I? Everything is essentially managed in Business Central. As I said, it's almost as if we used Excel as the user interface, right? And guess what? My items are here. The quantity, the unit price, right? Everything is already available. So that spreadsheet now can be saved as it is, can sit in a SharePoint or my OneDrive. Next time I reopen it, I can simply reopen the spreadsheet and I can see my orders and I can add more lines. And essentially, you can use it pretty much to build, not just to edit existing records, to add new records, including, again, working on multiple tables. So I hope you find it interesting. I'm going to close here because there is a lot more that we can learn about editing Excel because it's very powerful. It also allows you to work on ledgers because that's what we're going to learn next time. I can build my reports because editing Excel even though it's called edit. And so you might think, well, nice, but why do I have edit in Excel on an item ledger entry? It's a ledger, right? Business Central will never let me edit entries in a ledger using Excel, right? Of course, it will never let you, but we're going to use the capability, right, of this edit in Excel that allows me to pull fresh data from Business Central into a spreadsheet by I'm using advanced filters on the query so that I can get fresh data in my system as soon as I open the spreadsheet. We can then combine different data sources, use Excel queries, and even create our pivot tables so that we can create our reports in Business Central, again, without having to wait for the developer to create something more robust, which is always the end goal. You want something more robust for your organization, you want something stable, you want something that allows you to support the team ongoing, not just for one-off, but not just for one-off report. However, data intelligence and reporting projects can take time because they are complex. What do we do in the meantime? Do we close the business until our reports are ready? We don't, right? We give our team and our clients something quick and easy that they can use so that they can see what they need to know in order to do their job. Inventory on hand, back orders, goods received not invoiced, KPIs, the value of items on journals, right? Aged receivables, cash at the bank. Again, quickly, quick reports, info that we need daily, for which we can use this very powerful plugin. So I hope you find it beneficial. As I said before, stay in touch. Follow me for more free training, which is going to be live on LinkedIn. It's going to be improvised. It's going to be off the cuff. And if you have questions, we can work live in my sandbox, because effective training does not have to be scripted. It can be responsive. It can be improvised, because that's how we save time and we deliver value for the client. Because if you need 2 days to prepare for a training session that doesn't, and you don't know how to respond when the client asks you a question which is not included in your script, and then you're lost, you're not really doing training very well. Right, almost an hour on the clock. That was good. 40 minutes on the clock. Again, share your feedback, share your questions, and if you want to see something in the next live webinar, tell me, send me an email, or share it here in the comments. As Alfredo would like to learn more about this particular feature. I would like to learn more about something, again, prices and discounts, financial reports, and even something more complex. I want to learn more about production planning, about capacity constraints, about production variance, and so on, traceability, warehouse management. And soon, again, next year, myself and my collaborators for live unscripted training, which is responsive and bespoke, and here, again, using Microsoft Dynamics applications. Thank you all. Talk to you very soon.